You know, the last thing I'd use to describe myself is devil may care. Hello there, this is Celerity with 10-minute talks, where I record for 10 minutes and post whatever is usable. A person doesn't give advice because it is true, or wholly good, or because that advice will work for everyone. In fact, we have a glut of bad advice when it comes to both the VTuber space, the growth space, the self-help space, especially when you delve in deeper to more niche communities of self-help and self-help augmented by neurodivergence and individuals who offer grand sweeping platitudes that are often uninterrogated, which would include myself, technically. If you talked to that space as a genre, I'm also guilty of giving advice that is not applicable to many of you, and that's okay. I think we should be critical of the people we listen to, of what we put in. If we just eat whatever, who knows what's going to happen? But if we know what we're eating, we can make outcomes that we enjoy, whether it's the taste of the food or how we feel afterward. I think it's really funny how I ended up speaking a lot to self-determinism and, to a certain degree, antisocial behavior and self-serving behavior, because that is advice that does not necessarily need to be proliferated, I don't think. We do have too many people who will stomp on another person without a moment's notice or without any ceremony. People who don't need to be told, be kind to yourself, or it's not your fault, or it's important to hold up your boundaries no matter the costs because you are valuable and you're important, you're worth it. There are too many people out there who already intrinsically believe this stuff. And when I say this stuff, I think it comes off as the red flags of moral and social degradation. That in a hyper-individualistic society, somebody is still advocating for being individualistic and for supporting oneself and holding oneself as the highest standard of their own living. But the advice we give is advice that we wish we knew before. And as a person who has zero self-determination and zero self-worth and struggled very long with the idea of taking up space, even in the spaces I created, struggle with self-affirming and pushing myself forward, you can see why these mantras have become something I repeat so frequently, right? It is out of necessity. When you live in such a way that you do not self-determine at all, your acts of curiosity are often directed toward a specific goal rather than exploratory. You have to do that play much later in life. You have to engage in all of that freedom and or misery, all those mistakes, after adolescence. And it can be awkward, can't it? Of course, the things I say aren't for the happy people. If you are happy, then you often don't need self-help or direction or to be affirmed. If you are content and secure, you are welcome to stay. But I'm not sure these videos are for you. If you're anywhere on the journey towards that security and that confidence, I think that you will get it. I had a conversation with a Mara Eventry. They're a really wonderful individual, nearly incomprehensible to me, as are a lot of individuals. Mara has this just manic energy. Though she's said it in a community post, I've never really perceived her or observed her in a state where she isn't somehow grounded or in control. We had a conversation about a video that I did recently. It'll be the card. It was actually the video I did about insecurity. How I wish I could emulate this kind of self-assuredness and be able to not care about what people think of me, to remove that from being an intrinsic part of myself and my person. Their amendment to my video was that it's not necessarily about not caring as a solution, but it's knowing when you shouldn't, right? And I think that is fantastic. I think a lot of things I say on these videos tend to be underdeveloped by virtue of it not being about a point. But I think knowing when to stop caring is very important. But as somebody who's so underdeveloped, someone for whom a light scratch is still a dagger in the arm, developing those skills that we haven't had is more important than the moderation of it just yet. Maybe in 5 years, maybe in 10 years, I will look at my videos and cringe at them. How childish could I have been to have thought these things, to believe the self as God, so to speak, and to push that state, to chase happiness as doggedly as I do. But I also hope I have the hindsight to look at myself then and remember that I was growing up. I just hope I'm kind to myself, because that is also something I'm working on. And if I'm still not kind to myself a year, 5 years, 10 years from now, you gotta step up your game, Celerity. Ding ding ding, 10 minutes.